I've talked a lot about being a Halo and Xbox fan on this channel, and while I may have grown up with the Xbox 360 and its many great console exclusives, over the last 5 or so years I've become a big fan of Sony's God of War. And not just the Norse Saga, I've played all of the God of War titles, apart from Ascension and Betrayal. Now, I want to play those games, I just haven't because Java emulation is beyond me, and I just haven't really gotten around to Ascension. Now, despite me playing the PSP titles, I'll only be talking about God of War 1, 2, 3, and the Norse games for this video, although the other titles will get little shoutouts throughout. Also, kinda goes without saying, but I'll be tossing spoilers out left and right for the entire franchise, so if you want to go in blind, don't watch any further. With that said, let's begin.
The gods of Olympus have abandoned me. Now there is no hope.
And Kratos cast himself from the highest mountain in all of Greece. After 10 years of suffering, 10 years of endless nightmares, it would finally come to an end. Death would be his escape from madness.
This is like one of the 2 Greek God of War games where Kratos is really depicted as a hero, barring some exceptions.
Thank you! Thank the gods you came back for me!
I didn't come back for you.
No!
Set on a journey to save his homeland by the gods, with the goal of killing the God of War himself, Ares, who is wreaking havoc on Athens. Throughout the story, we learn that Kratos once pledged himself to Ares in a battle that cost him his soul. Ares, not wanting Kratos to forget this, bound the Blades of Chaos to Kratos' body as a reminder of his plea. Eventually, in a cruel trick by the God of War, Kratos raids a village in Ares' name, not knowing his own wife and daughter were there until their blood stained his hands. As yet another cruel twist of fate for Kratos, the ashes of his wife and daughter were bound to his skin, leaving him pale white, earning the name the Ghost of Sparta. Kratos eventually receives the power to kill Ares by opening Pandora's box, something that will have irreparable consequences for the world in the following games. Following this, Ares kills Kratos with a clip more impressive than the Halo grenade snipe.
Far away in Athens, Ares knew Kratos had succeeded in his quest.
So, little Spartan, you've recovered Zeus's precious box, but you will not live long enough to see it opened. I will see to that. Goodbye, Spartan. You will rot in the depths of Hades for all eternity. Sniper spree.
Kratos is sent to the underworld, which is hands down the worst part of the game, and because he is Kratos, escapes even more vengeful than before. After escaping the underworld, we face the God of War, in one of the hardest boss fights in the Greek saga. After being tormented by visions of his dead family, he eventually gets the better of Ares, but leaves the battle with a truly broken spirit. By the end of the game, Kratos prepares to plunge himself off a cliff to end the nightmarish existence given to him by the gods. But in yet another selfish and cruel act, the gods deny him the choice, giving him the title of the God of War. This game is fine. The story is pretty good, but just the gameplay itself is painful. Like I mentioned before, the underworld is probably the second worst thing in the entire franchise of God of War. I only ever played this God of War game one time, and I am in no rush to get back to it. The graphics look good for the era, and the voice acting is amazing, but overall gameplay is just extremely punishing and just left me feeling annoyed most of the time. They do a phenomenal job with the sense of scale, which is true for all the Greek games, they just do a great job at making Kratos feel small. The soundtrack is also consistently really good, a standout title of this game being the Desert of Lost Souls theme. I know I had a lot of negatives to say, but there are some banger levels in this game as well. The first level on the Aegean Sea is awesome, and it has just a super good intro for this game.
Foul beast! I will send you back to the depths of Hades!
Also, I understand the game came out in like 2005, but the Kratos cutscene model is the funniest looking model I've ever seen. Like, look at him, man! What is he? He's the Mog of War! Anyways, the overall gameplay is good, just ridiculously punishing, and can be incredibly tedious. I give this game a 6 out of 10. If only there were a game that was, like, better in every single way. I don't...
By defeating Ares, Kratos, the once mortal warrior, became the new god of war. However, Kratos soon found himself alone on Olympus, shunned by his fellow gods.
Now this is a video game, man. Story? Fire. Gameplay? Fire. Graphics? Fire. God of War costume? Fire. This is my favorite God of War game out of all of them. It's even in my top 10 video games of all time. I replay this one constantly, and it just takes everything that worked in God of War 1 and adds more depth to the systems it had, pushing the PS2 to its absolute technical limit. This was the last game they ever released for the PS2. It even came out a few months after the PS3 had already come out, and the product just turned out phenomenal. This game's story is much more grand than the first game, and they continue the trend of an amazing sense of scale and a great soundtrack, with the standout track being The End Begins. I feel like so many video games have a section that drags. Even my favorite game of all time, Portal 2, has one. But God of War 2 does not really have a section like that. This game has just the best video game intro of all time, with the Colossus of Rhodes fight. It is just absolutely peak. Unfortunately, the story includes some really convoluted time travel, which I explained super elegantly here. Okay, hello. I'm here to talk about how the time travel in God of War does make sense, and I'm sick of people pretending that it doesn't, okay? In all seriousness, it's a little tough to follow, but it's still a great and fun story. Basically, following the events of the first game, Kratos is crowned the God of War, and the other gods really do not like him, as he basically is the same thing Ares was, literally doing exactly what Ares was doing in the first game. The gods have grown tired of Kratos' destruction of Greece, so what do? They betray and then murder the only man they've literally watched climb out of hell before. While Kratos is in the underworld, he meets Gaia, who told him that he needs to fight the gods and that he should never give up. And she explains that he needs to seek out the Sisters of Fate to change his story so he can get his revenge on Zeus. And this is where the time travel makes this really convoluted. As Kratos returns from the underworld, at the same time, in a different spot, the end of the game is happening at the same time as the beginning. Kratos goes on a grand quest, eventually finding the Sisters of Fate after fighting many gods and protagonists alike. My personal favorite is the Perseus boss. You fight him in this really big pool of water, and he has the ability to go invisible, so you have to watch the water move to find him. After this long quest, he kills the Sisters of Fate. I'm throwing things around, I'm mad! My personal favorite is the Perseus boss. You fight him in this big pool of water, and he has the ability to go invisible while fighting, so you have to watch the water move to find him. After his long quest, he kills the Sisters of Fate with a boss battle that sprawls time, with Kratos even returning to the boss fight from God of War 1, which is just so cool! Eventually, after killing the third Sister of Fate, who I cannot show on screen because she would violate YouTube's terms of service, Kratos gets control of time itself to win a battle once lost. Kratos returns to the exact moment he was killed and punches Zeus off of his own dying body, beginning the final fight of God of War 2, Zeus himself. In a fight that kills the only god who is ever even remotely nice to him and leaves Zeus wounded. By the way, you know, we say that is remotely nice to him. He was still manipulated and like abused by her. She just was like sometimes nice to him, like spoke to him every once in a while. So like, you know, not like a shining example of a friend. Zeus declares that Kratos has started a war that
You cannot possibly win.
With this, Kratos goes back in time once more, returning the Titans to the present, and he begins his ascent of Mount Olympus to finish what he has started. Now at this point, Kratos has been manipulated, tormented, and used as a tool by almost every single god, something I feel is very important for me to mention. And there's even a specific story from a previous game that just shows the depravity of the gods. In this scene from Chains of Olympus, which has been memed on a little bit in the modern era, Kratos is brought into the fields of Olympus, the afterlife for the pure and worthy, where he is reunited with his daughter. This is not an illusion, not a trick, but this is his real daughter, who he had been tricked into killing a few years prior. It is then revealed that if he stays with Calliope, he would only have hours, and the world would be destroyed. so Kratos is given no choice but to literally shove his daughter away from him so he can save the world. This is easily one of the worst things the gods put Kratos through, and something Kratos briefly mentions in God of War Valhalla.
Mimir, the day my family died was not the last time I saw Calliope. I had journeyed to the underworld to rescue Helios. When I arrived, I heard Calliope's song on the wind and found her in the fields of Elysium. It had been long since I felt such joy. But it was another trick of the gods.
It wasn't her.
Worse. It was. The goddess of the underworld wished to destroy all of creation, Elysium included. She knew that for me to stand against her meant leaving Calliope behind forever. So, I pushed my daughter away again, all while she cried and begged me not to.
And to the PSP fans, I know it wasn't a good god. It was like literally the villain of the story did this to him, but you're going to sit here and pretend that the other gods couldn't like aid him in any way? Like they threw him into that problem not caring about the consequences of the actions that happened in that game. Be for real. The gods have been just truly terrible to him, and it makes it perfectly clear that his vengeance has more than enough reason. I give God of War 2 a 9 out of 10. This game is peak. Peak would be 10 out of 10, but this is pretty close. This might get a 10 out of 10. Might get a 10 out of 10. You know what? No, it will get a 10 out of 10. It will get a 10 out of 10. I'm breaking free of my script. I'm breaking free. This game is widely considered to be the best of the Greek titles, and I have to say I personally disagree. God of War 2 is my GOAT, but this game is good. This game plays about the same as God of War 2, the controls are the exact same, and the gameplay is just very consistent, which I feel like is kind of on purpose, because this picks up immediately after where God of War 2 left off. This game still has the awesome cinematic feel and amazing sense of scale felt by God of War 2, as well as a banger soundtrack, with the notable track from this game being Rage of Sparta. I personally played the PS4 remastered version of the game. I honestly can't really tell much of a difference graphically. Yeah, so I just googled it, and it's because it didn't change the graphics. It just made the game run at 1080-60. But I was using PS4 PC Link for like the first few levels, so it felt actually more like 10p 4 FPS. God of War 3 is really where we just get to see the lowest point in Kratos' life. After decades of torment from the gods, he seeks nothing but revenge no matter the cost. This game begins with one of the most brutal death scenes in the entire franchise, Kratos killing Poseidon, the god of the sea and horses.
Zeus should have kept you where you belong. No matter how many gods fall, there will always be another to stand against you.
They will fall as well.
The death of Olympus means the death of us all.
Then prepare for your death, Poseidon.
The first kill of the game being Poseidon and it being all in first person really just sets the vibe for this story so differently than all the other games did. This game falls behind in story because the only motivator is revenge on the gods for their actions. And this game, the more you play it, at least in my eyes, the less likable and more monstrous Kratos becomes. And this is not a bad thing. Watching this character that started off with a heroic journey at the beginning, just to fully turn into the villain of the story, is a really interesting thing to watch. And throughout the game, there is really only ever one character who challenges his fall from grace, Pandora, the girl who is the key to opening Pandora's box, because Kratos needs it again, I guess? Pandora reminds Kratos of his own daughter, and she is the only person who ever manages to speak to Kratos, and in the end, provides him with wisdom that he keeps even until the Norse games.
Hope is what makes us strong. It is why we are here. It is what we fight with when all else is lost.
But in the end, Kratos is given a choice between her or vengeance. Pandora dies before Kratos begins his final battle with Zeus. By the end of the game, Kratos and the ghost of Athena stand atop Mount Olympus, the lands decimated and the people eradicated, and Kratos, realizing what he has done, tries to end the cycle by impaling himself on the blade of Olympus, while Athena watches, enraged that she no longer has control or power over Kratos. After the credits, it's revealed that Kratos crawled away, and he had in fact lived, but they leave no hints as to where he is or where he is heading, a question that would be left unanswered for the next 6 years. I give this one a 7 out of 10.
That dome hammer doesn't scare me. Boom! Oh no!
Boy!
Stop!
Boy! Your mother's knife. It belongs to you now.
What for?
A test. She taught you to hunt, yes?
Yes, sir.
Then show me what you know. I am hungry. Feed us.
A very, very long time has passed for Kratos. As said in the God of War lore book, Kratos arrives in the Northlands 115 years before the game takes place. But it's rumored that there's actually somewhere between 150 to 1,000 years between God of War 3 and God of War 2018. In this time, Kratos has become much less violent and far more in control of his emotions, in big part thanks to his wife, Faye, who has just passed away. Oh, MF Doom! MF Doom! Faye's wish is that her ashes were spread atop the highest peak in all of the realms, and Kratos will be joined in this journey with his son Atreus, named after a Spartan that Kratos respected in his mortal years. Kratos does not really have a good connection with his son. He knows the boy is a god, which Kratos believes to be a curse, so he outright refuses to tell him out of fear that he will harm his son with this knowledge. Which, I mean, to be fair, he kinda does. We talk about it for like a 2-second bit in the script later. The mountain part where he just turns into a total jerk. So like, I mean, kinda, maybe. Throughout the game, Kratos and Atreus meet more people who help them develop emotionally and just grow as characters. Freya, Mimir, Brok, and Sindri. Something I like to think about is meeting all of these characters. If you've played the other 3 games, there is not a single character that helps you out in the same way these guys do, apart from Pandora? I think that's it. Everyone else is like, shows up for either one scene or is not there to be friends with you. Kratos murders like everyone he meets in the other games. One of the coolest parts of this game is when Freya tells Kratos that he must retrieve an element from Helheim to heal his son, but in order to do so, he must dig up a weapon from his past, the Blades of Chaos. Something that Kratos is dreading, but knows has to be done. In an amazingly atmospheric and I just messed up the whole script. In an amazingly atmospheric and bittersweet moment, Kratos dons the Blades of Chaos with a new motivation, no longer seeking vengeance, but to help the ones he cares about. I do think this moment is huge character growth for Kratos, and is a beautiful scene that gives us some introspection into Kratos' psyche at this exact moment. After curing the boy of the effects of the illness, there's only one thing that will keep it from returning, and that is the truth of who he is. So Kratos finally tells his son what he is, and begins to stop hiding from Atreus.
I'm a god, boy. From another land far from here. When I came to these shores, I chose to live as a man. But the truth is, I was born a god. And so were you. Boy, have you nothing to say?
Can I turn into an animal?
Can you turn into an animal? No. No, I do not think so.
You sure I can't turn into a wolf?
You are welcome to surprise me.
After this, Kratos and Atreus really grow and bond to work as a team, apart from the mountain. And by the end of the game, Atreus and Kratos have really fully bonded and managed to spread Faye's ashes at the highest peak in all the realms. This game is tough to find a favorite level because the game doesn't have levels. It's open world, so it's a little non-linear. But I tell you, Alfheim made me want to drive non-linearly into traffic! Waka waka! A very big highlight for me is the Baldur fights. Like, all of them. They all just feel so cool to me, and they're super fun, and they really feel like godly battles in the world you're in. And of course, the soundtrack is amazing, and yes, I have a standout track. It's Valkyrie's. This game is phenomenal. Like, the combat system is amazing and the voice acting is just goated. I know I mentioned it briefly for the Greek games, but literally the entire franchise just has such great voice acting. I've beaten this game 4 times now, and my personal favorite thing to do is the Valkyrie fights. This is the best addition to the series gameplay-wise by far. I absolutely love the Valkyrie fights, and they're just so challenging and so rewarding. It's a great addition to the game. Overall, this whole game is actually just a must-play, even if you haven't played the Greek Saga. This is actually the first God of War game I ever played, and then I went back to play the other ones. But god, this one is just so amazing. This is also in my top 10 games of all time. 8.5 out of 10. A few years later, Fimbulwinter has arrived. Kratos and Atreus are hiding. Kratos doesn't want to admit it, but it is what they're doing. Kratos has been visited by Fae lately in the form of dreams, guiding him and helping him prepare for what is to come, telling him he can hide no longer. Atreus has grown into his own, so far as to sneaking away from his father for his own quests, but still, their relationship is far better than it was at the beginning of 2018. Their lives have been pretty peaceful as of late, apart from Freya's occasional attacks seeking vengeance for her son, whom Kratos killed in the last game. Atreus has been growing into his new abilities, such as turning into an animal, which was even teased in God of War 2018. Knowing that Fimbulwinter is arriving, my favorite side character in all of the games, Thor, the god of thunder, arrives outside of Kratos' house, asking to come in. Now, something I find really cool is how if you know how this whole scene plays out, you can tell Odin told Thor to go in first to check if Kratos was a
calm and reasonable person.
And once Thor gives Hunin, or Munin, whichever raven it is, the all clear, Odin himself arrives. Now, Odin tells Kratos just to kind of
just chill out. You know, drink a 7-Up, eat a moon pie, quit murdering people.
And of course, Kratos, being Kratos, says
No.
Leading to the second best intro in any God of War game.
About time.
They jump right into a fight with the God of Thunder, who at one point kills and then resurrects Kratos, and only then Kratos kind of starts to lock in and gets the upper hand. After a brief brush with death, which is not too uncommon for Kratos, he proceeds to return home, collect his things, and begin his journey with Atreus and Mimir. A journey that focuses a lot on Kratos finally facing parts of his past, attempting to redeem himself, which is a huge theme in 2018, but I'd say 2018 is far more about getting to the point where he can be open and begin the process of forgiving himself, whereas this game is much more actually facing that redemption. Kratos at this point is far more open about his past than Greece, and he speaks with Mimir, and it's revealed that it pretty much told him his entire story of his past. Kratos uses his experiences in Greece to try to temper his son who wants to rush into fate, believing he is the champion, heralded to fight at Ragnarok. Despite Kratos' best efforts to teach his son about fate, Atreus' need for knowledge puts him and his friends in danger, and directly leads to the death of one of the main characters, Brock.
Sindri? Sindri, I'm so sorry.
No. No, I don't want to hear it. You don't know what sorry means.
We're not letting Odin get away with this.
Would that be the Odin you invited into my home?
We were all fooled.
But some of us were bigger fools than others. Aren't we? I gave you everything. My skills. My friendship. My home. My secrets. My treasures. And you just kept taking. And now what have I got? Not even my family. You want sorry? This is what sorry looks like.
What can we do?
We. There is no we. There's only you. No matter what the cost. So what you can do is get the fuck out of my sight.
Come, Atreus. Leave it be. Mourn how you wish.
I thought we were his family too.
We were.
At this point, everyone that Kratos and Atreus have teamed up with have accepted that Ragnarok is here, and that they have to invade Asgard, a path that Kratos has said several times he did not want for both him and his son.
Justice. Justice is not what we seek. It is vengeance. Every path I walk leads back to vengeance.
Miraculously, almost everyone makes it out alive, apart from Freyr, who I didn't really mention much in this video, but he was goated. Rest in peace, Freyr. By the end of this game, Kratos is shown a Jotun shrine, one that has him fated to be seen as a hero for all 8 realms. Kratos, after thousands of years of despising himself, after he finally begins to be better, is shown that it is possible. He is finally shown that he can be redeemed for the sins that have scarred him and followed him through the years. Something very important to note is that Kratos' skin is significantly less pale in the Norse saga. This is actually an intentional design choice. The developers have stated that the more he grows as a character, the more the ashes begin to fade, which is just such a cool detail. Although I truly doubt we'll see a non-Ash Kratos in the games apart from flashbacks because the look is a little too iconic. If you thought the combat in 2018 was good, just wait till you play Ragnarok. This is the best combat system I have ever played. The way you can use so many different builds with strategies and different kinds of rage, I typically go with Valor, the different shields and runic attacks and armor, and dude, thank God they added the ability to use different armor appearances because I had a great Kratos build in 2018, but the fit was downright atrocious. Look! This game, much like God of War 2, took all of the good stuff from its predecessor and used it and gave it even more depth. This game plays so well and it's just a great time overall. There is only like 4 Valkyrie fights and 3 of them are story mode, so they have to be easier, but other than that, this game is just a more advanced 2018. The performances of every character are amazing. Odin and Thor particularly stand out for me.
Take one more step, you're not gonna like how this ends.
Really? And how do you intend to stop me?
Look into my eyes. You tell me.
You are a sick man.
I'm just messing around. Of course he means to betray me, huh? Heimdall?
The side story is just so compelling, and even the mini-story that's told with Thor trying to be better for his daughter. Although I'm not a huge fan of the Atreus sections, not the story, I'm actually a fan of the story, but the gameplay is just either being forced to be disempowered or literally tending to a farm for an hour. I feel like I don't have to tell you that this game has a phenomenal soundtrack, but it does, with the standout track being The Hand of Odin. this game is incredibly well made and a masterful evolution upon the 2018 game. 8.5 out of 10.
You are certain you remember nothing of this place?
Oh, nothing that would help us. Tell me, brother, why exactly are we doing this?
Dude, I love Valhalla. I was incredibly hyped for this game from the second it was teased.
To another world premiere.
Joff, if this world premiere isn't good... Oh, wait, it actually could be good. Hold on. Joff, if this world premiere isn't good... Wait! Wait! Oh my god, it's God of War! It's God of War! It's a Valkyrie throne! It's God of War! It's a Valkyrie throne! Yes, dude! Ragnarok, Valhalla. Wait, what? Wait, hey, whoa, 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 wait, hey. What do you mean, God? Wait, why is it called Valhalla? That's so close! What? Free? What? And at first, I won't lie, I did not like it. I just wanted to consume the whole story, so I kind of played like gameplay was in my way. Until I played one day, and I really just played it like it was for the gameplay, disregarding the story for just a bit, and it clicked. It was magical. I mean, this was such a great game, and I had just been ignoring it because I didn't care enough to learn the game's systems properly. But once I did, this became one of the most fun gameplay loops I've played in a while. If you're struggling with Valhalla, I advise you to follow these steps. 1. Take as long as you possibly can. 2. Loot everything that isn't pinned down to the ground. Health stones, pots, chests, the whole shebang. 3. Upgrade your health and healing abilities immediately. Those 3 things help me so much, and yeah, some of them are kinda obvious, but man, especially that first rule helped me out so much. Just, instead of being hasty, just be a little patient and slow down, and it will save you so many deaths. This game is so good, and it just blows me away that it was free. 9 out of 10. The story for this game is amazing. All of the things we talked about in 2018 in Ragnarok, seeking redemption and forgiveness of self, that's exactly what this game does and evolves upon. Freya has consulted Kratos after the events of Ragnarok, saying that she wishes that he be the new god of war for the Northlands, after, you know, everything blew up. A title he has not held in a very long time, and one he is in no hurry to pick back up. He's afraid he'll turn back into the monster he once was when he first picked up the throne. And so he has come to Valhalla to face his past head-on. As Kratos revisits memories of both the Northlands and Greece, Tyr, Mimir, and even Helios offer many different voices of counsel, or at least a peek into Kratos' mind, particularly with Helios. As I've said, Valhalla is constructed of the user's memories, meaning the things that Helios say are things that Kratos has thought.
And lest we forget, Kratos, lest we neglect to place your deed in full and proper context, I saved your life. Me! And you literally tore off my head for my troubles. Imagine if all your new friends knew how you used to treat your old friends. Of course, you're not the same man, right? Now, you only get your friends killed through lack of foresight. Far easier to blame others that way, am I right?
I know you are a projection of the mind, but for what it is worth, the death I gave you was unjust.
Oh, how touching. Yeah, not actually worth the spittle it took to mumble that out. Do not do that again. Nobody wants to hear that from you.
We can see here at the beginning of the game he is still hateful towards himself, even though he's grown a lot as a character. After many battles and conversations with allies, Kratos feels prepared enough to face his past. And when he opens the doors in front of him, the best cutscene in all of God of War begins.
What can I say to you? I remember how it felt to take that throne. All that it meant. And all that it did not. A god of war. God of pain. Of suffering. Of destruction. The Noan said I chase redemption that I know I can never deserve. What does that make me? God of fools. A god of... hope. When all else is lost. You lost everything. And everyone. You became... There is no forgiving you. You chose! I chose. But now, should I, this same man, should I sit, take, proclaim, lead, place myself in service? In service? Should I lose everything and everyone? There's to be enough left inside so that I do not become you. I do not know. But I have hope. You are cruel and arrogant and selfish. But you are more than that. You have always been more than what others saw. You are more than that.
Well, looks like I missed everything. Did you find what you needed? Glad to hear it, brother. We're done here then, so, what now?
Now, I believe I would like to sit here for a while.
There is no commentary in the world that I could bring to this that would adequately describe the importance and meaning of this scene. After torment from the gods, the loss of his wife and child, and being responsible for the deaths of millions in Greece, it has all culminated in this moment, where he can finally see that he has grown worthy of the title God of War. And you can now show that you've grown as a person by playing as the young Kratos model in New Game Plus! Kratos taking this throne as a direct parallel to his first game is such an amazing thing to see. The visual storytelling and just how completely different both scenes feel. The throne scene in Valhalla finally feels like a fully earned and developed success for a character that has just felt so much pain. As he leaves Valhalla for the first time willingly, Kratos strikes the exact pose shown on his Jotun shrine, and he accepts the title from Freya to once more become the god of war. The franchise's story from an outside perspective is amazing. The growth that people like Cory Barlog went through between the direction of 3 in 2018, having kids of his own that influenced the story, and just overall the work that went into literally every one of these games, it is a miracle that this entire franchise is as good as it is. Because I don't know if you know this, but making a video game, let alone a compelling story, is really hard, and there are thousands of people who work insane amount of time to make these amazing games, and it pays off so well. I didn't even touch on the absolutely stunning music for these games, and I barely even mentioned the voice acting that everyone did. I am glad that Santa Monica recently reached out to T.C. Carson after God of War 3. The image of Christopher Judge and T.C. Carson with the rings on is just so amazing to see. I've linked video documentaries from the game's development that are available in the description. If you're a fan of God of War or game design, do yourself a favor and watch these documentaries because they are truly amazing. Shout out God of War, shout out video games, and thank you for watching my video.